How's your week been anyway? How's everything gone? How's your editing project gone?
Yeah, man, it's been good. It's been good. Still editing. Still, well, I'm wrapping up the second project now, so it's grading, and then we'll send it to a sound mixer. Um, but yeah, man, it's been good. I do really like. I think I was mentioning it in the last episode where I really like the leverage and like the more laid back approach kind of thing. Like, what did I get asked? Like, yeah, it was something along the lines of like doing a bit of extra work, and I was just like, nah, bro, like I'll pick this up tomorrow. Whereas
Yeah.
my old self would have been like, no, I've got to stay up till 2 a.m. to like do this and really push through.
Mm.
Whereas it's almost like you get respected. Obviously, we know this, like you get respected more when you have boundaries. But my boundaries have always been like so high that now that they're a little bit lower, and it's like, nah, mate, I go to bed at 11 now,
Yeah.
and there's just like a non-negotiable.
Good
So
for
it's
you,
quite
man.
nice.
Good
Yeah,
for
it's
you.
nice. It's like driving the same car, but like it feels different or something. I don't
Mm.
know.
Nice
Um,
analogy.
yeah, so it's been nice. It's been nice, but
Good.
nothing else. Just a bit of 3D, and I think that's it. Actually,
Sick, man.
yeah. What about
Nice.
you?
Good, man. I've been in London for like the last 3 days. I literally got back not long ago. I had two shoots, so I was doing one for Meta, which was good fun with some footballers down at Fulham Football Club, their training ground,
Yeah.
which was good fun. So did that, and then was doing some
Was
stuff
that
for
an
the
all
Abbott.
dayer?
No, not really. It was 12 till 5, so it was just like the
Okay.
back end of the day, and then
Hmm.
was doing some stuff for the Abu Dhabi tourist board on Tuesday through Ogilvy. So no, it was
Yeah.
good. It was good fun, good team of people. It was very quick turnaround. So both shoots, the edits had to be done by like lunchtime the following day.
Hmm.
So it's nice because I've just had two shoots and all the photos and all the editing is already done and dusted. So I'm home and I'm like I can
That's
kind
like
of
the best. Well, like
move
once you get
on.
back,
Yeah.
it's kind of already done. You're like,
Yeah.
ah.
Yeah. So now it was good fun, but yeah, like I was saying to you earlier, it's nice to be out of London now. Back in the
Yeah.
countryside. I'm sat at my desk, I'm in my office, the sun's just gone down, the birds were singing, it's a nice evening, and I'm just back in my happy place. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it's good. So what's
That
on
sounds like
the
a good environment to game, Matt. That sounds
mate?
like a
Oh,
good
it's the
environment.
best. I love it. I love it. What's on the agenda today, Cam? Talk us through what the topic is.
Mm. Okay, so a little bit of context. So, a newsletter that I came across recently for creatives, I was reading it and I thought it was amazing. And it basically covered the topics of becoming the version of your own vision as a creative, and then building the version of yourself that you can't compromise on. And so we know a lot of times that we do put a lot of effort into our personal projects, but then as soon as it comes to a client, we'll have limitations on the budget, or maybe we'll accept a project that is under our usual rate. And essentially, the newsletter was talking about how to create a version of yourself and an offering of yourself where you won't compromise on your rate, you won't compromise on your quality. And obviously, that works out best for you because you enjoy it more and you can put your actual skill into your craft, but then also the client will benefit from it
A
because obviously
thousand
they get
percent.
the result of it. So,
And
yeah, and it was just phenomenal. It was the best news I've ever read. So, you,
good. We'll
you go on and
we'll break it
I'll.
down and we'll get
Mm,
into that because I think Cameron, you've got some great analogies from this newsletter. So make sure you give a shout out to whose it is in a sec. But um, what springs to mind for me straight away is how I think in the past on the show when we've spoken about pricing, we've spoken about kind of how much to charge and all that stuff, and it sounds like we're going to get into that a bit today.
mm,
But what would be great is um, what stands out to me, sorry, straight away is it's that minimum level of engagement, right? So you know how you just spoken about your requirements and your boundaries. So it's like I'll have a minimum number in my head that I'll do a shoot for because anything below that number, you're not going to get the best of me at that shoot.
yeah,
I have a minimum level of engagement, and I won't touch a project for anything less than this amount because this is what I think I'm worth. And if it's below that, then you know, I don't think that I'll bring my all to it, and you're not going to get the best quality, and you're not going to get an assistant, and you're not going to get, whether it's the lighting and the time in post or whatever that looks like.
well, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, it's not just a decision on your part. It's like things that literally stop you from doing a good job, like
yeah,
not having an assistant and things. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll jump into it. I'm excited to chat about this.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say who the newsletter is. So it is from Mario Elementor, so I'll link him below, but he has a Monday Mind newsletter, and he essentially talks about more of like being a creative, and he's been in the industry for a long time, and he has another newsletter on Wednesdays which is more about the 3D craft because he is a 3D person. But this creative newsletter just about being a creative was like solid,
Hit the
and I was like, we
spot.
have
Hit
to
the
talk
spot.
about this.
Sweet.
So
Let's get
I've
into it.
noted down a few things there, so I will just read it out and then we can go through.
Yeah.
But so he starts off here. So a few months ago, someone reached out asking if I could help with their creative direction, adding, "I have a small budget, but I'm willing to work hard and I really need the guidance." But the thing is, they'd already decided I should adapt to their situation, not asking whether I could help. They were asking how much I would bend to make it work on their terms. And when you accept requests like this, you create the pattern behind the question most creative people ask. I have the skills, my portfolio is good, why am I not getting hired or taken seriously? So before anyone looks at your work, they're assessing your certainty about what you can deliver. And so he says, someone might say, I need this animation doing for €300, serious inquiries only. And then he says, they demand serious inquiries, but their offer is not. So they're asking for serious inquiries, but they're saying that they've only got $300. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
up. And so, I don't know, like, so that's the first section. This isn't
There's
what we
so
spoke
much.
about, Matt.
There's so much psychology involved here, right?
Yeah,
And I think
right?
that's a perfect example of just how much, because it is so fascinating how the language that we use, like language creates, right? The way you speak about something, the way you present yourself, everything
Mm.
creates a reaction and a standard and assumptions and opinions. So it's the first thing that springs to my mind based off what you've just said. That just goes to show how much of a psychological game business is, creativity is,
Mm.
how you present yourself, how you sell yourself. And that's just like I agree with that, and it's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and it is predominantly business as well, because if you think of like a product that you buy, if the product is like, say like the pound store, you're going to treat it a little bit less than if you went into like Louis Vuitton, for example, or if you went into,
Yeah,
even if you're thinking of aftershave, you've got the
yeah,
cheaper aftershaves that you can buy in like Tesco, and then you've got, the other stuff where you walk into a specific perfume store. Like
yeah,
there's just a
yeah.
different vibe.
There is
And
no
so there's a lot of
100%.
learning with creativity as well in the sense of freelancing and things. And that's probably the thing that takes the longest to know, right? But he goes on here and he says, what you compromise on becomes your reputation, and your reputation becomes the signal that attracts those who align with it. When you present yourself open to negotiation, you're attracting people who need you to be open to negotiation. Employers lowball you because you seem grateful just to be considered. It's like,
So
like I was reading this, bro. I was like, fuck, like, that was so
yeah,
good. That's
so
so
I
good.
want to counter argument that, just to play
Okay.
devil's advocate, but also because I think, and in my experience, I will work with, especially like agencies and producers that I've got a really good relationship with. I will work with them on their budget, because
Yeah.
sometimes a shoot might come in, and it's an agency or a producer that I get on really well with. They're a good team, and they might say, look, the budget we've got for this mat is X, and I can decide if it's below my threshold of engagement. And recently I've got a lot better at saying, no, sorry, I'm not going to engage with anything below X, but I will work to people's budgets, because I know that if I do, people appreciate that. And next time a shoot comes
I'm
round,
sure they do.
they but they pay me my fee, and they appreciate it and might give you work, and it builds that relationship, because I don't agree with bending to their budget every single time. You've got your rate, and you can be, you know, set like dead on that. But in my opinion, I have always tried to work with producers and agencies to cater towards their budget, because I know that sometimes their hands are literally tied and they want to execute this job, and they think I'd be a good fit for it, and I want to get involved with the job. So I will work
Mm.
with agencies to help them, and like I say the word bend to their fee, I'm accommodating to their budget.
Mm.
But they appreciate it, and then when work comes around again, they'll pay me my full fee, maybe a little bit more, because the budget's there for it.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I definitely agree. I think that but it is people, isn't it? It's really businesses, people, and relationships.
Yeah.
And in a way, like you just said, like I work to this, but also I want to be part of the project. And it's like, right, so there is value for you that
Mm.
is not only in the price. So like maybe money is only valuable to you up to a certain point, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, well, based on like the project and it balancing it out, kind of thing. Um, but what it makes me think of as well is the reason why those things matter is because there are things in place for example, if someone's coming to you and they are a first time client, but they're asking for a discount, so I'm not saying that you can't do that, but sometimes it's like really discounts are for loyal clients. And there
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
perspective that if you're asking me to do cheaper on our first project, then it's a little bit like, well, what does that mean for the clients that I give discounts to in the future? Wait. And so alternatively, there is the counter argument of, why don't you pay my proper rate this time? And when you come back to me for a second project, I'll give you a discount then. So,
So
and
I
this is
want
the
to add.
psychological aspect.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
I want to
yeah,
add that I have got better. If it's a
mm,
new agency or a new client, I am more firm with my fee, and I say
mm,
like this is the minimum I'm willing to go down to. Anything below that level of engagement, I'm sorry, I can't get involved. I can pass it
mm,
on to someone else. I can recommend you some people. And I've got better at that, 100%. If it's a
mm,
loyal client, then yes, I'm more willing to. I don't like the word bend, to accommodate for their fees and their budgets. But yes, there recently I had a very, very big brand reach out to me in the fashion space, and their budget was just lower than my minimum level of engagement, and I just said no, it's just not going to happen.
mm.
And whereas I think a couple of years ago I probably would have said yeah, and I'll just do it. So yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah, yeah.
really interesting psychology. Okay, what's he said next?
So I'll go on to this, the bridge one, shall I say? So this one, he's talking about. It's just another example of someone who doesn't bend, accommodate. Well, no, I don't want to even. I'll just start the story. So he says, before building a bridge, no engineer randomly guesses the load capacity. They spend their time carefully calculating what holds and what breaks. Then they stamp the blueprint, maximum load 50 tons. That number isn't negotiable. It's the engineer saying, I've calculated what this structure can bear and I'm willing to stake my license on it. When a giant truck wants to cross the bridge, the driver does not negotiate. They either meet the requirement or find an alternative route. Your value works the same way. It's not what you hope someone will pay you. It's your calculation of what's required to deliver the result you're promising with your signature as a commitment to accountability.
Yeah,
And
love
again, like
that.
I really like this, and I think it's a little bit tricky because for me, as an example, like starting 3D and looking to go into freelance, I feel like I'll be able to jump into 3D and almost start freelancing with this mindset and having like minimum levels of engagement and stuff like that. But that's only because in 3D I'm able to do my own personal projects and I don't need a client to get access to a certain place or a certain asset because I can just make anything I want.
Yeah,
Whereas in video, it definitely is like it definitely does depend on if you're a production company or if you're a freelancer or if you're a cam op or if you're looking for other projects or if you're early in your career or if you're late in your career. Like there almost needs to be like a building phase or like a networking phase where you're willing to be a little bit more accommodating. And then
yeah,
there's places where it's like I'm snowed under, I'm super busy, like I've got opportunities coming out my ears. I need to be a bit more stubborn with like the rates and the standards. But like with this, like I know that the bridge example is a little bit like, well, it's a bridge, like it's like life and death. It's not like, well, I guess it's not life and death, but you know
it's
what
a
I mean.
good analogy though
Um,
for
yeah,
understanding kind of, again, coming back to that minimum level of engagement and knowing what it's going to cost for you to produce the work that you are capable of doing. And I think that
yeah.
brings you on to the next point of the newsletter where we talk about it. You think he talks about personal projects? Because I want to get into that, and I feel like I'm gonna get ahead of
Well,
myself.
shall I talk about the wedding thing with the photographer? Is that what you mean with the personal project thing?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wait, oh I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so one I haven't got it written down, but one of the things that he does cover is how when you do personal projects, you work to your standard and you just put in the natural effort that you want to into this project because it's for you, and you create the version of yourself that you would ideally be working as when you do it for a client. And so one of the things that he was bringing up was, if you never really do personal projects, or if you never sort of push yourself for your own craft, you never discover that version of yourself that is capable of those things. So if you just start off by being a freelancer and you take cheap projects and you work your way up, you may never discover the sort of the standard and the quality on a client project that you can produce in your own time. Because if you did that, you might go, I can do this, but I'm not doing it for 500 quid. Like, if you just start off by doing client projects all the time, you never discover that. And so it's this interesting thing where you almost have to, I've got, what was it, like, build the version you don't compromise on. But in order to do that, you need to work on a project that you can't compromise on. And usually that's a personal project.
It's
Is that
so
what you
true.
mean?
Yeah, it's so true. So I believe the example that was in the newsletter was about the girl and the weddings. So
Yeah.
do you want to just give that example before I get into it? Because I feel like it's good
Okay.
to.
Yeah, sure. So, there was a photographer that was doing wedding packages. She was charging about $800 to $1,000, but she was obviously doing really good work. She was obviously super busy, but the amount that she was charging wasn't worth the amount of effort. She was snowed under all the time. She was getting home late, all this stuff. So she ended up basically quitting photography. And a few months later, her sister was getting married, and because obviously she has like a personal investment in her sister, like she actually cares about her, she wanted to be the photographer at a wedding. So she put in amazing effort, like worked like 10 hours just on like color grading alone or whatever. Um, at least that's what it said in the newsletter. And maybe that's not a very long time for color grading photos. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so she put in a lot of effort, and obviously these things came out looking insane. She posted them online. They went semi-viral, and what she realized was, if I could just work at this standard all the time, then I would love photography again. But if she was going to jump back into photography, she would have to charge what it's worth to her so that she can work at that level and it's worth it to her. So she went back in, and apparently she went back in at like 3,500. And, that, like, obviously wedding packages, like, I know that they can go up to 10K, they can go up to 15, they can go up to 5, whatever. But going from 800 to 3,500, that's like a really big jump. But it's because when she worked as a personal project on her sister's wedding, she was able to discover that version of herself that could do the quality of work at that level. And obviously she also got a lot of social proof when she posted online and they went viral. Sorry, I just got like an internet disconnection thing.
Obviously, I harp home all the time about personal projects, right? For many
You
different
do.
reasons, but this is a perfect example of this. So, like the recent on spec campaign I did, when I think about the amount of effort that went into that, the amount of time
Yeah.
that I spent in post production, really taking the time to curate the work and edit it and work with a retoucher, and the amount of planning that went into it, and all the stuff, that is a true value of my true day rate, or my project rate, sorry, not day rate, a true example of my project rate and what I think I need to be paid and deserve to be paid for that standard and for that level of work.
Do you have an idea, just off the top of your head, or a range of what you would want for a project like that? Do you reckon? Oh, obviously, it doesn't have to be.
My project fee, what I charge, what I give to
If
clients, like
if you was to
could
do
probably
that
go
on
up.
shoot, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but like without doing that, I don't get a full idea of where I'm at and the level of work that I'm kicking out, and how
Yeah.
much I can really level things up and take time with it, and how good things can be if I take my time with it and really work as hard as I can. And that project was reassuring to me because it made me feel like, yeah, I am worth X amount of money. And I think my skill set and my craft is worth that amount of money. So doing the personal projects is so important. And this is a perfect example with the girl and the weddings, because the moment she shoots for her sister and it's not being paid for by a client, she realizes, and she takes her time with it, she realizes how good she can be and that she can earn way more.
Mm.
And I think it's a brilliant scenario. And I think it's it's food for thought, probably for some people listening who, aren't sure what to charge. And when you think about a personal project you've done or you haven't done, but you want to do, how good that level of work is and what capacity you're able to work at. And
Hmm.
that's going to give you a really good idea of what you think you're kind of worth if you're not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
really interesting.
When people come to you with budgets, when clients come to you with budgets, in a way, it's not what they've got, it's technically what they've allocated. And
Mm.
so the budget is actually a lot bigger. It's just that they've decided that you only get this portion of it that's been set aside for you. And so I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That is just the way things, typically work when you've got a budget for a campaign or a project. But knowing that allows you to kind of like make the decision as to whether you want to take that on or not. And it's not like an insult, or it's not like a good or a bad thing. It's just that's the way things are. And I think
Yeah,
being considered for the opportunity, even though that's really good as well, that shouldn't come into the. You can be grateful, but you can also. What is it? The difference between being good and being nice? Like you can be grateful, but it doesn't mean that you have to accept something that's like
yeah,
below what you would want to work at.
true.
And I think as a creative, it can be really difficult to lower your quality of stuff. Like it's like me and you have had this conversation a lot of times with editing, where I'll spend ages editing something, and Matt's like, just throw it together, just like do this and do this, and I'm like, I can't, I physically can't. Like it's almost your creative sort of like the way you see things is like burned into the way you do it. Like it's like me asking you to shoot lower quality photos. It's like it just doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's so weird, but I think that's why it's so difficult, because you end up doing the same work for lower money, and it's not like reducing the quantity. You can obviously in terms of deliverables, but those deliverables are still going to look high quality.
I agree. What else was on? Was there anything else on the newsletter, or
Well, I didn't want to
you
like
noted?
go super far into it, but let me just see if there's yeah. So to round things off, so I've got a few things there. So professional identity isn't just about credentials or years of experience. It's about the standard quality you set for yourself. It's your willingness to hold it when monetary instincts put you to the test. The moment you compromise your standards, you've answered which one matters more: people's comfort with your price or your confidence in your delivery. Every accepted compromise became so with the photography example, every accepted compromise became proof that her conviction was negotiable. A professional identity isn't formed through conformity, but in the moments you refuse to abandon the principles that define what you're capable of creating. The bridge doesn't apologize for its load limit, it simply states what it can bear and waits for the right traffic. Your next project is your chance to do the same. And I love this because what it brings into light for me is that I remember, when you're freelancing, there is this thing of a project comes along and you almost like want to catch it as it's passing. It's not like, oh yeah, it's come to me and you're not the right fit, or turn it away or take it.
I like
It
that
feels like you're
analogy.
pulling it out of the wind, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, but really the perspective to have on it is you're a creative who has a certain level of quality, a certain level of standards, and it's the right kind of client that needs to find you. And this is why it's so important for marketing and social media and stuff like that, because you're just putting out there kind of like who you are and what you do and what your standards are. And the right people who align with those things will naturally ask you if you're available for a project, or, like it's just so
yeah.
fascinating. And I don't know how many times I'm going to have to learn this over and over again, like through my career,
But
because it is a good reminder, right?
it is. I do want
Yeah.
to counter it though. I think that comes from a
Mm.
place of privilege as well, because
Well, definitely, it's not a beginner's place to be. Like, and if
you
anything,
might really need money, right? You might really need money.
exactly.
You've got bills to pay. You might have
However,
mouths to
I
feed.
do have a counter though.
So sometimes you
But
might have to grab the jobs that are floating by because you feel like you do need them because bills you got to pay
well,
the
this
bills.
is why you have the difference between bread and butter clients and retainer clients and things like that versus longer projects that they're a little bit more of a risk, but you get paid more, like whatever. Like there's all these different scenarios, but ideally, if you work this way, you shouldn't need money because your standards prevent you from working for less and also not getting paid on time and also accepting projects that aren't going to be portfolio pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would almost say that it's either you do it the way me and Matt did it, which is like where you first start and you literally figure out as you go along, and you do free shoots and you do all that, or you start as you mean to go on and you have all these standards and you have all these processes and systems and emergency funds from the very beginning, whether you're already working, whether you've quit a full-time job and you've saved up and then you've like taken this leap. or you've already got a network. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of variables, but this is the ideal place you want to get to, is to be able to do it like this. And obviously everybody's different. Some people prefer, maybe you get more projects if you are a little bit cheaper, or if you have like retainer clients where it's more about the relationship, and you have a steady amount of projects coming in and you like the work. Like, you if you like the work but you're only on one project, it's a bit like I don't only want to do one, I want to do a bunch. And it's like, but
Yeah.
they might not be able to afford that, so you obviously slice the price a bit. But yeah, it's just very, very interesting. And for me, this newsletter was one of the best newsletters I've read in a long time, especially through a creative perspective. I love the analogies that it gave, and there was another analogy that we didn't speak about, which was the tiny house thing, where this guy made tiny houses, and I think it was normal in the industry to get a tiny house for 50K, and this guy was like, "I'm doing it for like 160 or 190," and the reason why they paid him was because he lived in his own tiny house. Like, it was so good that he lived in it. And so he almost, like, as it's similar to the bridge scenario, like staked his license on it. Like, I'm so good at this that I live in my own tiny house that I built myself.
But it's not just
And
that he knows
you
the
know,
product better because of that.
yeah,
So
exactly, yeah. All the little design quirks and things like that, just from living in it and having first-hand experience.
yeah,
It's expertise, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's all super interesting.
Mm,
Yeah. So I think we round off that topic there. I think there's lots to think about, and there's some food for thought, and it'd be really interesting to hear what you guys have to say about it. And if you agree,
mm,
disagree, please drop a comment below, or send us a message on Instagram,
yeah.
because I think there's some interesting bits there.
Yeah, and I do want to just shout out the newsletter again. So it's Mario Elementor. I'll link it below in the show notes and the YouTube description. But it is his Monday Mind newsletter, and
Nice.
yeah, phenomenal. So good. So yeah,
Sweet.
amazing.
And a couple of things to round off the episode.
Mm,
Firstly, is that obviously London Camera Division went live. So,
mm.
guys, I don't know if have we mentioned it on the show.
I
I don't
feel like
know.
it did. I feel like we mentioned it in the last episode, but
Okay. Well, anyway, if you guys wanted to grab a t-shirt and you haven't already, please head over to londonCameraVision.com.
we'll link it
Um,
below as well.
we're going to be releasing the next design soon, but the on-location designs are already out. So if it takes you fancy, head on over. And then secondly, I think it'd be great to get you guys to kind of fire in some questions. I haven't actually asked you about this, Cameron, but
Oh
it'd
god.
be cool to do like a bit of every week doing a bit of a listeners kind of Q&A. So every week we might
Mm,
answer like one question of what a listener has to say, just so you guys feel a little more involved. So we'll probably put a story up at some point over the next week before the episode goes out. And we want to answer your questions. We want to, at the end of every episode or at the start of the episode, get into a bit of a question. We'll try and answer it concisely, but maybe debate something that you're going through at the moment or an experience you might have
oh
had.
yeah.
I think it'd be a really fun idea. So,
It would be. It
um,
would be.
yeah,
You can leave a comment on Spotify or YouTube, or you can just answer
drop us
the
a DM.
Instagram story or DM
Yeah,
or whatever whenever we put it up. So yeah,
lovely.
man, that's amazing. I really love this episode, and a lot
Sweet.
of food for thought, as he said. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice. And if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to our newsletter. It's in our Instagram bio. Make sure you do that. We drop a creative of the week. We share 3 things we love this week, and we also let you know about the new episode that's coming out and what it entails. So
mm,
we hope you have a great rest of the week, and hope you're enjoying your November so far. Keep
yeah,
shooting, keep working hard, and we'll see you in the next one.
yeah. Bye, guys.
Peace out.